With his back turned, Vidar lay without moving an inch. It's been a long time, but it's still the same. Is he really asleep? Or is he trying to test Precipice? Just like he did before, will you run away again? If she betrayed him again, then he wouldn't hesitate to really kill her. It is true that not hearing annoying words like "I truly love you" was a relief, but that did not dispel any of the anxiety that consumed her. So Presepe remained curled up, closely monitoring Vidar's movements. Then she looked inside the cave. I can remember the geography of this area, as I passed there last time. When she and Fenric came here, Presepe tried to keep track of the way in case there was any emergency. She never thought she would need him like this. Duke Fenric must still be in Vanessa's village. And maybe now. He leads his soldiers to attack the Forbidden Forest. But if he did, what happened during the day would be repeated. Vidar will kill everyone, and the monsters will rush incessantly until the entire area is turned into ruins. Vidar will do everything in his power to keep her by her side, and will not yield to any persuasion. If you stick with him, you might actually get to the end of the story. And maybe you can return to the real world. But then she would never know Fenric's true feelings. Did he, like other men, just want to tie her up and possess her? Or did his confession, which seemed pure and sincere, not contain an iota of lies? Presepe's closed lips trembled. She was well aware that staying next to Vidar was the easiest option, while returning to Fenric was the most difficult, fraught with danger and sacrifices. But she also knew. Since the moment she was kidnapped by Vidar, she has been searching for her way back to Fenric. Even at this moment, she knows that staying with Vidar is the right answer. If you had chosen me, and loved me, you would have been able to understand me. Unlike any other human being. Presepe began to remember the words Vidar had said before. Then it occurred to her to consider Vidar's life, those days he lived in this narrow, gloomy cave, over thousands of years. You really don't remember anything? Or are you feigning ignorance? And also his other words that she didn't understand. I remembered the settings book for the game Presepe in the cage, and Juyeon's muttered words. Everything went through her mind as she messed with her hair randomly. So, does that mean she whispered inside her, as if she was screaming deep inside, am I actually related to this game? Was that what Juyeon meant when he said you should be sure of something? Impossible, it doesn't make sense. There is no evidence. However, despite her attempts to deny it, feelings of anxiety began to surround her body like snakes, almost suffocating her. Unfortunately, Presepe did not find any evidence to the contrary either. No matter how much she strained her memory to recall the details of her life in the real world, nothing came to her mind. While she was clutching her left breast in a familiar habit, and lowering her head in pain, she suddenly stopped. So, Vidar. Since when? How much did he know? Where did he start watching her? I love you. I couldn't help but love you. Because you decided that. Is a creature that only performs its prescribed role and prescribed actions better than insects? Didn't I tell you before? Only I can protect you. Only now everything is back to normal. Suddenly, Vidar's voice seemed to mingle with Fenric's, blending in her ears like overlapping echoes. Then. No, I should not have given you any authority in the first place. If I had, I wouldn't have gotten to this point. Isn't it? Even those words, she did not understand their meaning. When she raised her head, the image of Vidar's back appeared above her cold violet eyes. Vidar. She said his name in a low voice after staring at him for a long time. Vidar. But no answer came. After sitting in silence for a while, Presepe rose slowly and advanced towards him with very cautious steps. The surprise was that Vidar was in pain. Because of the wound he received from Fenric. To be more precise, his body seemed to be desperately trying to repair itself. In fact, he was succeeding in doing so, the wound in his flank that was pierced by swords no longer had a trace, as if he had never been injured, and the blood had dried. But the wound to his collarbone, with that sword that was a souvenir from Vanessa, showed no sign of healing. On the contrary, the wound was expanding little by little, like a spot of color expanding on the paper. Error. This is what the Book of Prophecy said. She will not be able to end her suffering without him, and he will not find comfort without her. Neither the faithful cardinal, nor the brave warrior, nor the equally powerful wizard can destroy him. Vidar himself said this repeatedly, no one could kill him or even harm him. A person freed from the constraints of the original world, from its settings, perhaps Fenric himself had become a mistake, beyond all restraint, and therefore alone could have attacked Vidar. Then that sword. If you think about it, once Fenric became the owner of that sword that was an heirloom from Vanessa, maybe the sword itself turned out to be a mistake as well. Because this wasn't supposed to happen in the original story. Thus, he was able to inflict a fatal wound on Vidar. The sword, and its owner as well, were no longer bound by the laws of this world. If my intuition is correct, the beginning of all these events was only due to a small gesture on my part. The first and last time I did not act according to the program texts or the values given to me, but rather, I spoke honestly from my heart. Vidar's closed eyelashes twitched slightly. Was he unconscious? Or asleep? Or is he just resisting pain? But, whatever it was, that no longer mattered. I can't trust myself anymore, but the same goes for you. You're also someone who can't be trusted. Very quietly, she slowly stood up. Then she quickly hurried out of the cave, leaving Vidar alone. Vidar's words, "Monsters will be watching you," were not a complete fabrication. With every step, Presepe's eyes searched in every direction. Everywhere she set foot, monsters craned their necks and stared at her with glowing yellow eyes. A winged creature flapped its wings threateningly, as if ordering her to return, and a hybrid wolf bared its fangs with a snarl. If I was really trying to escape, Vidar wouldn't have left me wandering around like this. Then you better not act stupidly. I will immediately return to the cave, and I will tell Vidar everything. I will mention to him which monster dared to show its fangs and threaten me. Perhaps because her blood is close to theirs, or because she is the heroine of the game, the monsters seem to understand her words as Rick does. As the monsters slowly retreated, Presepe began to run quickly. But her mind remained confused. Will Vidar die if I leave him? Will you be safe then? Would he be more angry if I ran away? Will he be hurt because of it? Will he scream again that she has abandoned him? Where is Duke Fenric now in the village? How will she start her conversation when she meets him? Will he tell her what's in his heart? What will you do after hearing his answer? Her thoughts were jumbled, but one thing was clear. She wants him, misses him, and wants to see him. Not to ask him or wait for an answer, but just to see his face. Huh? She stopped suddenly, panting. It wasn't because the monsters menacingly blocked her path, nor because Vidar followed them. But because she saw something familiar fluttering and coming towards her. Rick. She called him, and he answered in a short voice as he went down to sit on her shoulder, rubbing his cheek on hers. I was worried about you. Forgive me for not being able to protect you. Are you really okay? Although he is small, he is also a beast. I feared that humans had attacked him. But Rick seemed completely unharmed. Even more than that, he flapped his wings, then bit her sleeve with his beak, as if he was ordering her to follow him. This way, I'll show you a shortcut, a path no one knows. Neither monster nor human will intercept you. It's my way alone. It was close to the path Vidar had told her about when they met in the Forbidden Forest. Despite her surprise, Rick did not hesitate, but continued to flutter. So I followed his steps cautiously. The path is narrow and lonely, and fog shrouds the place under the bright light of the full moon. If we continue in this direction, we will reach the lake, until I reached the banks of a quiet lake, without even the sound of insects. She breathed a sigh of relief, then looked at Rick over her shoulder, smiling. Rick, thank you, but Rick wasn't looking at her, but straight ahead. At the edge of the lake. Madame Presepe. And there, the person she had missed stood so dearly.